Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was incredibly successful and popular when it first aired. But as time went on though, the series started to grow a little stale. I did a whole 3-hour video going through every episode in case you missed that. So, in order to breathe new life into Power Rangers, a major shakeup needed to be done. Some ideas were discussed, like offing the Power Rangers altogether to bring in a new team. Yes, I'm serious. But ultimately, the series would get a whole new cosmetic change. A new name, new suits, new Rangers. They're stronger than before and higher they can soar. They are the Power Rangers Zeo. Adapted from the 19th season of Super Sentai, Choriki Sentai O-Ranger. Using a brand new Sentai once again allows Power Rangers to be a cost-saving show, filming less new footage and simply relying more on the Sentai. Was this new season of Power Rangers enough to revitalize the franchise? Well, let's find out. We kick off the season with A Zeo Beginning Part 1 and 2, picking up right where Mighty Morphin left off, with the power chamber destroyed and our Rangers with no powers. They go through the rubble of the command center and actually manage to find the Zeo crystals. Goldar and Rito did steal the crystals before blowing up the chamber, but I guess the explosion was so powerful that they dropped them. Not only that, but we find the two monsters in Angel Grove with amnesia, not knowing anything and being pretty helpless, essentially being monster versions of Bulk and Skull. Meanwhile, a brand new threat has entered the picture, the Machine Empire, consisting of King Mondo, his wife Queen Machina, their child Prince Sprocket, and their assistant Clank. They'll be our new villains for the season, and I'm all for it. While I do love Zed and Rita, I did find them to be kind of annoying towards the end. The Machine Empire even manages to blast at Zed's palace, forcing Zed, Rita, Finster, Squat, and Babu to flee. They try to escape with Serpentera, but it's once again out of gas, meaning they'll have to stay with Rita's dad. Cool. Meanwhile, the ground beneath the original command center collapses with the Rangers falling in. Exploring this underground area, the Rangers hear Alpha's voice and find a teleporter. As they bravely step into the unknown, they're greeted to Alpha and a brand new power chamber. But no Zordon in sight. Ending Part 1. Part 2 kicks off with Zordon. Sorry for building up that tension, he's right there. Alpha and Zordon apparently built this secondary power chamber just in case something like this would happen. I really like it. It's way more sleek and futuristic looking. Zordon then informs the Rangers about the Machine Empire, and with the power of the Zeo crystals, they'll be able to gain new powers to defend the Earth. Although, there is one problem. There's 6 Rangers here, but only 5 Zeo crystals. Tanya nobly offers to step down since she's the least experienced. But it's actually Billy who offers to stay behind. He says that he'll be more useful in the command center, creating weapons and using his big brain to help the Rangers from the sidelines. It's a very sad moment that I'll sadly need to go into more later. But yeah, with Billy no longer being a Power Ranger, officially ends the original Mighty Morphin era of heroes. Zordon bestows the crystal's new power onto the Rangers. Kat will be Zeo Ranger 1 Pink, Tanya Zeo Ranger 2 Yellow, and everyone else would get new colors. Rocky being Zeo Ranger 3 Blue, Adam Zeo Ranger 4 Green, and Tommy of course Zeo Ranger 5 Red. Zordon tells the Rangers that with their new powers they'll be better than ever, and that the Power Rangers as we once knew them are gone forever. Yep, we'll never ever see the Rangers morph into Mighty Morphin ever again.
It's Morphin time!
I also love how the suits line the walls of the power chamber, a really nice way to pay respects. The Rangers are then given Zeonizers, which are their new morphers. You just gotta hold them close to each other I guess, and then they activate. The morphing sequence is nice, them saying they're Zeo numbered followed by their color.
Zeo Ranger 5, red!
Although, I'm not really a fan of their suits. They're really basic with some gold around their necks. And I hate the miscellaneous shapes on their helmets. Tommy's in particular, I always hated as a kid. Stupid star. King Mondo sends down the season's new foot soldiers, the Cogs. They're just as dumb as the putties, but can sometimes talk. The Rangers of course beat them up and save the construction site. The episode ends on a high note, with everyone being reinvigorated with their new powers. The Zeo Beginning 2-parter is honestly not that good. The way I laid out the story sounded coherent, but the actual episodes are just a mess. We get like maybe 2 minutes of the Rangers talking, then we cut to the Machine Empire spewing evil nonsense, then we cut to Rito and Goldar who stumble across Bulk and Skull. We then get more nonsense with Zed and Rita trying to retreat, Ranger stuff again for 2 minutes, more Bulk and Skull stuff, then Zed and Rita, and then the Machine Empire. It's just such a nightmare editing wise. Obviously, the thing we care about the most is the Rangers getting their new powers, but the fact that we get 2 comedy segments scattered throughout is really disorienting. They're trying to establish too much at once. On a positive note though, the Zeo theme song kicks ass. It's a bit of a remix of the original Go-Go Power Rangers. It feels like a power-upped natural progression of the original theme. But with a bigger and badder threat on the horizons and the Rangers being more powerful than ever, what lies in store this season? Well, a lot of Mighty Morphin Season 1. Episode 3 is The Shooting Star. It's kind of a Tanya-focused episode. She already has a boyfriend, Sean. Dang girl, in the span of a day, you left your home village, aged 10 years out of nowhere, and are a superhero fighting off an entire machine empire, and you already got time to find the guy? Anyway, Tanya is tutoring this guy Sean in math or whatever, but he actually just ends up stealing the answer sheet and plans on cheating. He tells Tanya this for some reason, and she tells him that cheating on a test is bad, and he won't learn anything. Meanwhile, we get some more Bulk and Skull shenanigans. I forgot to mention, but Rito and Goldar stumbled upon the two, and Bulk and Skull took them under their wings, essentially making the monsters their slaves, which is uncool. But yeah, instead of a comedy duo, we now have a comedy quartet. King Mondo sends down a monster and, well, you know, the Rangers fight it. We do get some interesting stuff though, with Billy being hard at work creating weapons for the Rangers, such as the Zeo Megazord. I would say it's insane that Billy can just create a Zord, but he made a flying car. Anything's possible. As much as it sucks Billy isn't a Ranger, I do really like him in this role. He's kind of the backbone of this whole operation. The Rangers destroy the monster, and Sean learns that he shouldn't cheat on a test. I totally forgot that was going on. Target Rangers. We finally get a Rocky-focused episode, and they also finally give him some kind of character. He's a bit of a lazy, slacker class clown. Great, that's what we came up with. He's an idiot. He's partnered with a female classmate he clearly has a crush on. They're doing some computer project and she's taking it super seriously, while Rocky is more focused on flirting. Not well, might I add. He offers to look after the project to prove he's responsible. Where naturally the Cogs ambush Rocky and Adam. They manage to fend them off, but not without stealing away the project. The project is a fighting game the two are working on, and the Machine Empire are able to use that programming on a monster. I like that aspect about this villain group. They're able to essentially use any piece of technology to their advantage. But with Billy's help and the new Zeo helmets on the Megazord, they destroy the monster. And Rocky even manages to sweet-talk his way into a date. You know, after she called him an idiot for losing the project in the first place. For crying out loud. That's exactly what I was doing during this episode. So Tommy and Kat are paired together for a school project on family care and relationships. So to make the project more realistic, Kat makes them look after a real baby. Thanks, Kat. The only thing notable about this episode is Tommy. Seeing him in a vulnerable position is something we haven't actually gotten in a long time. He's usually Mr. Perfect that can handle anything, so seeing him actually human is refreshing. The rest of the episode is super annoying. The Machine Empire enhances this baby's crying to catastrophic levels, and the Rangers gotta find the source of the power and destroy it. It's just, you're hearing a baby cry for 20 minutes. It gets annoying. Rangers in the outfield. It turns out Tanya is really good at baseball. She accidentally ends up embarrassing her boyfriend, Sean, in case you forgot, because she struck him out with her fast pitches. He's embarrassed because she's a girl and he's a boy. It's your typical this kind of episode. Meanwhile, King Mondo sends down a monster and it has nothing to do with baseball. There's go-kart chases and go-kart fight scenes, and then chase scenes and fights on paddle boats. Like, what is happening? This is aggressively Japanese. The episode also doesn't end on a happy note. Normally, the boyfriend would realize he was being a jerk about a girl being better than him at baseball. But no, Tanya wins the game and he's still upset about it. So she chews him out and breaks up with him. I'm glad I got invested in their relationship. Every dog has his day. Kat brings in a police dog that can sniff fires. The dog eventually leads her to a cave though where the Machine Empire is planning on drilling to the center of the earth and encasing the planet in lava. Damn, that's kind of brutal, okay. I really like this episode since there's no dumb teenager subplot. Kat gets noticed by the cogs and tries to put up a fight. She gets knocked down a mountain and damages her communicator and morpher. So she attaches her broken equipment to the dog's collar and sends him to the juice bar for help. And she just has to survive until reinforcements arrive. First real good episode of the season with nice tension and solid action. The Puppet Blaster. There's this popular in-universe kids show host named Captain Pete and his little robot friend. Naturally, the Machine Empire take control of it and put all the kids under mind control. It's another whatever episode. The best parts are actually with Adam training Tanya on how to do martial arts, since, that's kind of important when you're a Power Ranger. I would have preferred more of this stuff as opposed to more annoying kids. We don't actually know anything about Tanya, and Adam is just there. Invasion of the Ranger Snatchers. Rocky, Kat, and Tanya are extras on a movie set, so Prince Sprocket gets the idea to make his own movie, starring the Rangers and their immediate destruction. Again, it's a pretty alright episode. Prince Sprocket is actually a really fun villain. I thought he'd be more of a comedy throwaway character, kinda like Goldar and Rito, but he's probably the most involved with creating plans and wanting to see the Rangers' destruction. As for the rest of the episode, it's really weird. The Rangers get trapped in some dimension where they need to fight off this sink monster that shoots water out of its faucet, and then they find their way out via a chicken coming out of a well. They jump down said chicken well, and it takes them to the desert where they are riding horses and need to save a bus from driving off of the cliff. And I guess the day is saved somehow. That was the most Power Rangers thing to ever happen. Graduation Blues. A really good episode. After a clerical error, it turns out that Billy has enough credits to graduate high school early. Everyone's excited, apart from Billy himself. Naturally, he feels a bit directionless. He's now not only not a Power Ranger, but now doesn't even get to have the normal teenage high school life with his friends. Meanwhile, Sestro, the blue alien ranger, crash lands on Earth in search of Billy. It seems there's an issue on Aquitar that requires Billy's genius mind. All while this is happening, King Mondo sends down a monster to try and hijack Sestro's ship, and utilize its advanced alien technology. It's another really solid episode. It has plenty of great action, mixed in with the drama of Billy. He's on the fence about up and leaving Earth to help the alien rangers, but by the end of the episode, Billy decides to actually leave Earth and help the Equations. What's sad is that he doesn't even say goodbye to the other Rangers. He just kinda up and leaves. Luckily though, this isn't the end of Billy, and he will return to Earth in the near future. And besides, it's not like they just write Billy off the show like he's nothing, right? A few bad seeds. We get another Rocky-focused episode, once again showing off his incompetence. Again, great character choice for him. The class have to grow plants for some school project, and Rocky grows this monstrous plant that eats metal. Adam asks him where he got the seeds, and Rocky just says, I don't know. Naturally, this leads to the plant growing in size and into this giant monster that the Rangers need to put down. Mainly Rocky, since, it's his mistake that got us here. Still a nice episode that lets Rocky take charge a bit. Instrument of Destruction. This, in my opinion, is probably the best episode of the entire season. We finally get an Adam-focused story. 12 episodes in. Seriously, he's not beating the background Ranger allegations. Anyway, Angel Grove High has this hooded piano player that plays beautiful classic music. King Mondo hears this and wants to kidnap him as a gift for Queen Machina. So he sends down the cogs to kidnap them, but they're stopped by Adam. Meanwhile, Adam is forced to take a music class for school because he signed up for classical writing, an elective he's already taken multiple times. Which is honestly kind of funny because that's exactly what I did in middle school. I took a beginner guitar class like 4 times because I knew it would be an easy A. So seeing a Power Ranger do that makes him like me for real. Throughout the episode, we see cogs and monsters alike trying to steal this mysterious piano player, each time being stopped by the Rangers. Come the end of the episode, though, Adam manages to sneak up behind this mysterious piano player and reveals their identity. And it's none other than Skull. We get this really heartwarming scene between Adam and Skull, where we learn that Skull actually likes classical music and has been practicing since he was 3. But he hides this passion because he thinks it would be seen as uncool, even dropping the line,
I don't want anybody to laugh at me.
which kinda hurts even more after watching Mighty Morphin, where almost every episode would have Bulk and Skull being embarrassed and getting laughed at. Skull's also afraid of what Bulk might think, and Adam tells him that if Bulk's really his friend, he'll understand. Later that night, there's a concert where Skull performs on the piano. Bulk shows up and isn't shocked to see it. After Skull's song, Bulk goes up there and tells him that that was the most beautiful thing he's ever seen, and everyone gives Skull a round of applause. The episode just has so much heart. I also liked how the episode dropped hints that it was Skull this whole time. Bulk makes fun of classic music at one point and Skull doesn't laugh. He mentions that Adam is pretty good when he plays some basic tunes. And seeing the comic relief character have a heartfelt moment with the Ranger always feels nice. We needed more moments like this. It also helps that Jason Narvi actually knew how to play the piano and had some serious talent at it. Let's hope we get some more genuine Bulk and Skull stuff like this, though. Mean Screen. This episode is all about this cool and radical new thing called the internet. You can send emails and do all kinds of research on it. Nothing makes me happier than seeing old-ass 90s internet. Tanya accidentally downloads a virus and we get this dramatic countdown like that's how that works. And this classmate doing some epic Matrix hacking to stop the virus. This gives King Mondo the idea to infect all of the technology on Earth with a virus, making everything malfunction and hostile. Kinda like Y2K years before it was a thing. That's right, everyone panicked, but if they watched Power Rangers Zeo, they might know what to do. So the Rangers need to fight and destroy this monster that's the source of the virus, and make the internet a safe place once again for everyone to visit. Yep, the internet is still a great place for happiness. We do, however, end the episode with Billy saying that he's already helped the Aquitian planet and is on a spaceship heading back to Earth. Leading into the next episode, Mr. Billy's Wild Ride. On his way back home, Billy's ship gets blasted by King Mondo, destroying all controls, most form of communications, and even the heat. Not only that, but the ship is now on a direct course for the sun. Which I guess solves the cold problem he was facing. It's a really well-paced episode. Slowly, things start to go more and more wrong, and without Billy actually in the command center, they have no idea what they can do to help. It turns out the Machine Empire was also hatching some kind of plan on Angel Grove, and the Rangers ambush them and steal a device. This allows them to shoot a beam into space that can correct Billy's trajectory and bring him back to Earth safely, where I'm sure now he'll stay with the team forever and ever. So, as you may have noticed so far, a lot of these episodes feel like Mighty Morphin Season 1, the teenagers dealing with some random high school nonsense, and then the monster of the day shows up to just be defeated. Sure, there have been a few exceptions, but nothing too special in terms of story or character development. However, that's about to change with the next batch of episodes. There's No Business Like Snow Business, Part 1. The episode starts off like normal, with everyone hanging out in the juice bar. That is until Tommy receives a letter. A letter from Kimberly. She says everything in Florida is going great, what with her Olympic training and whatnot, but she says that something's happened. She's met a new guy. Someone that she's fallen in love with. Yep, Kimberly breaks up with Tommy via letter. She totally would have texted if they had cell phones. But yeah, it's a pretty heavy way to start the episode. Tommy, of course, needs to step away for a bit to be alone. We get a montage of Tommy and Kimberly, and it's pretty sad. Tommy has always been portrayed as Mr. Perfect, so it's like, how much better could this new guy really be? The out-of-universe reason for the breakup was most likely due to Amy Jo Johnson no longer being a part of the show, and a romance between what's essentially the show's main character and someone we'll most likely never see again didn't make much sense. To try and cheer Tommy up, Billy and Kat take him to a snow resort for a weekend of fun. The rest of the episode is honestly just epic snowboarding montages set to epic 90s rock. During this montage though, Tommy and Billy actually run into a famous snowboarder, Heather, and hang out with her, teasing a possible attraction between her and Tommy. The Cogs are sent to attack the Rangers and remove the safety markers on the hill, where Heather flies past it and is barely hanging on for dear life, ending Part 1. Part 2 kicks off with Tommy using his smarts to tie everyone's jackets together to use it as a rope to save Heather, furthering her attraction to him. Meanwhile, back on Angel Grove, the weather is surprisingly hotter than usual. So, what's the deal? Is King Mondo using some device to increase the heat? Well, not exactly. You see, the reason it's so hot in Angel Grove is due to global warming.
Are you all aware of what the greenhouse effect is?
What?
It's the warming of the Earth's atmosphere due to increased levels of carbon dioxide in the air.
Yes, Power Rangers, the exact show I trust to handle topics like global warming. Need I remind you, the next season of Power Rangers is focused on cars, but anyway, yeah. The three-parter has a split focus on both the Tommy breakup story and global warming. I'm not sure why they even bring this up, because it's not like the Rangers then try to take part in recycling or alternative energy. They just go back to fighting a monster and hoping that fixes everything. Meanwhile, Heather is clearly gaining more and more affection for Tommy, but Tommy isn't so receptive. I mean, Jesus, they did just break up a day ago, give him some time. Kat, however, feels bad that Tommy and Heather never got to go on their date, and invites Heather to Angel Grove for a surprise dinner date with Tommy, where again, he's clearly just not that interested. Their date's also at the juice bar, like come on Kat, anywhere else would have been more romantic. Not like it matters though. When Rocky and Adam come barging in for Ranger business, Tommy once again leaps at the chance to leave, with Heather of course not being too happy. And yeah bro, she doesn't have Power Rangers teleportation, she probably drove multiple hours just to see you. I think the 4 other Rangers can handle some D-level monster. So Tommy ditches the date, Heather is upset and leaves, and the Rangers defeat the monster. Coming back to the juice bar, Kat apologizes for setting this date up, and the two share a cute little moment, closing the episode with a dance. Aww. Although, not really, since this is obviously what they wanted to happen. Creating a romance between Tommy and a Ranger who would actually be on screen. Which I do believe in canon, Tommy and Kat are still together and even have a son. The Snow Business 3-parter is okay. I like Tommy needing to deal with a problem he can't solve with fighting. He's never been emotionally vulnerable since dealing with his Green Ranger powers in Mighty Morphin Season 1 and 2. There was a bit too much filler like the global warming stuff and Bulk and Skull side plots. And the storylines don't stop here. The next episode is Inner Spirit. So, during the Alien Ranger miniseries, Kid Tommy received his Zeo Crystal from a Native American chief, where now Tommy is having nightmares fearing that the Megazords are in some kind of danger. After leaving the juice bar, he runs into another Native American and offers him a ride. His name is Sam, all while receiving spiritual words of wisdom. Later in the day, a monster attacks, and it's pretty powerful. It's able to drain power and become stronger while doing so. The monster is able to severely weaken the Zords and put them out of commission. Luckily, Billy and Alpha have created a backup Zord for Tommy to use, the Red Battle Zord. What's interesting about it, though, is that it's controlled and linked directly to Tommy's mind, meaning the monster can't drain the Zord's power. However, with everything going on in Tommy's life, mainly his breakup, he can't think straight and his mind is a mess, causing the Zords to act erratically and not respond to Tommy's commands. He manages to quickly center himself for a bit and uses the blasters to destroy the monster. It's a hollow victory though, since the main Zords themselves still need 3 days to fully recharge. And with Tommy still having an internal conflict and not thinking straight, he decides the only way to clear his mind is to go on a vision quest. I guess that's one way to do it. And the next episode, Challenges, is just that. Tommy runs into a guy who bears a striking resemblance to himself, but ignores it for now. Sam, the Native American from the last episode, shows up and helps Tommy with his quest, simply telling him to follow the Falcon to find his answer. The B-plot has Adam taking up boxing lessons. Why not? You give the guy something to do. Where of course, Prince Sprocket sends down a boxing monster. And the two got a box.
It's morphin' time!
Adam sometimes seems to take over as second in command when Tommy's not around, which again is kinda funny since he never does anything. But it's not even Adam who defeats the monster. Tommy needs to stop his vision quest to go help fight the monster and destroy it. This was Adam's B-plot. We don't need Tommy to do everything. He returns back to his vision quest and sees that Tommy-looking guy from earlier dangling from a cliff. He can either help him or choose to continue and follow the Falcon. He of course does the right thing and saves this guy, who we learn is David, and also has the other half of Tommy's arrowhead, making David Tommy's brother. Yup, Tommy's a Native American, why not? Found and Lost continues the brotherly storyline, with Tommy taking David back to Angel Grove to introduce to his friends. Now you might be thinking, dang, how'd they find someone who actually looks like Jason David Frank's brother? Well, that's because he is Jason David Frank's brother, Eric Frank. It's super cool that brothers got to actually play brothers. And you can tell they're related. They have almost the same exact inflection in their voice when they talk and say their lines. Tommy is usually very breathy when he talks. It almost sounds like he's always out of breath, you know?
Oh, man, I don't understand.
And they both do it.
Hey, nice try, David. Why'd you do that? But you're better than me.
After a little argument, David steps outside and gets kidnapped by the Machine Empire, being placed in a cave, adding on to Tommy's problems and further worrying his mind. Which of course will affect the Megazord. He uses his Native American powers to sense David's presence and goes to find him. He's confronted by King Mondo and says he'll spare David's life if Tommy gives him their arrowhead. Why does he want this rock? I don't know. Tommy reluctantly gives it to him, but Mondo seemingly doesn't hold up his end of the deal, ending the episode. As it turns out, King Mondo betrayed Tommy and flees with the arrowhead. With this arrowhead apparently containing magical powers, Tommy and the others manage to free David from the cogs, with David worrying about Tommy's safety. And with no other choice, Tommy reveals to his brother that he is the Red Ranger. So the Rangers defeat the bad guys and Tommy and David make up. I guess I'll call this the Native American batch of episodes. They were pretty good, giving Tommy some nice needed character development apart from, he's perfect. Seeing him battle with insecurities and having weaknesses like his brother's safety was a nice change of pace. Trust in Me. Another Rocky-focused episode, where he continues with his new character of being an idiot. He does this by offending a blind person. Wow, didn't see that coming. This woman is a talented martial artist, but she also happens to be blind. Rocky takes pity on her and tries to help her out without her permission. I really like the route they took with this. I feel like we'd all act like Rocky in this exact situation, trying to carry the blind woman's books and overly compliment them for how much they've accomplished. And Rocky needs to learn to trust that she can take care of herself. It's a nice little time. Another potential girlfriend character for Rocky also. Throughout the episode, the cogs and monsters attack, and Rocky needs to morph without her knowing what he's doing. It came from Angel Grove, a pretty silly filler episode. Adam stays late at school one night studying for a test, when he watches a scary movie and falls asleep. This leads to a crazy dream sequence where he meets monster versions of the Rangers. A vampire Tommy, werewolf Rocky, and a Frankenstein skull. All shown in black and white, which is a nice touch. I think it's supposed to be a twist that this was all a dream, but come on, even as a kid you could spot it a mile away. Bulk Fiction. This is actually the first ever Bulk-focused episode. Yeah, not even really Bulk and Skull, just Bulk. So the police captain's daughter enrolls in the force and Bulk quickly gets a crush on her, trying to impress her by acting like someone he's not. He asks Tanya what she likes in a guy, and when she says she likes the intellectual type, Bulk tries to act all smart. There of course is a monster and stuff that the Rangers have to fight, but it's honestly the side plot. It's nothing interesting, just a reason for Power Rangers to actually have the Power Rangers in the episode. This is also a pretty important turning point for Bulk and Skull's character. Halfway through the episode, the two shenanigans upset the police chief and he fires Lieutenant Stone, with Bulk and Skull quitting in protest. By the end of the episode, Bulk learns to just be himself and gets a dance with the girl, with Lieutenant Stone wanting to start up a detective agency. And who does he hire to be on his team? None other than Bulk and Skull. It's a real feel-good episode. Seeing Lieutenant Stone show genuine affection for Bulk and Skull despite how many times they drive him up a wall is nice. Song Sung Yellow. It's honestly nothing. The best part of the episode is seeing Detective Stone, Bulk and Skull setting up their new office and business. Tanya sings a song and a record producer wants to sign her, which will make her need to choose between fame and Ranger duty. She chooses to be a Power Ranger and the end. Game of Honor. Adam is training for a ninja competition with Tanya, where we actually get to see Sean again. Yeah, Tanya's ex-boyfriend. He's being a total dick, flaunting his new girlfriend in front of Tanya and saying how he's gonna win the ninja competition. Spoiler alert, he plans on cheating. At least he's consistent. Again, it's pretty whatever. A monster shows up to derail the plot and the Rangers fight it. The episode ends with a fight between Sean and Adam, where Sean has a change of heart and decides not to cheat. Adam wins, Sean apologizes, and everyone becomes friends again. I don't know, I was kinda digging Sean as the new bully character. His actor plays a good a-hole, and having someone who could actually be a threat and not succumb to slapstick like Bulk and Skull would have been interesting to see. But now, we've finally reached something interesting. So far, Zio has been pretty mid. Like, sure, the Kimberly breakup stuff and brother storyline was kinda interesting, but it's nothing that's really had an impact, Well, that's all about to change. The power of gold. King Mondo hatches a pretty solid plan to send down Cog attacks spread throughout the city, forcing the Rangers to split up and have their forces weakened. The Cogs slowly start to overpower the Rangers, but they're saved by a mysterious force. Billy analyzes this data and sees that the frequency of it matches that of the Rangers, possibly meaning that they were saved by another Power Ranger. After another Cog attack overwhelms the Rangers, they see this. The Gold Ranger. He's awesome, easily wiping the floor with all the Cogs and having his own giant pyramid sword named Pyramidas, having shoulder pads similar to the green and white Ranger from the last season, although the suit's more black than gold, but I guess Gold Ranger sounds more mysterious and powerful. After the fight, the Rangers try and talk to the Gold Ranger, but he quickly disappears. When the team returns to the command center to tell Zordon and Alpha about this, Billy walks into the power chamber. But where was he? Shouldn't he always be there during the fight to assist the Rangers? Interesting. A Season to Remember. It's a Christmas episode for some reason. Why is it right here? Why is it placed in the Gold Ranger arc? Next. Okay, we pick things back up with a small problem. Prince Sprocket creates a device that can shrink things. He turns Cat and Tommy small and puts them in a terrarium, where they then show a giant real-life tarantula. Don't worry, I'm not gonna show it. And I'm just like, why? Bro, I hate this episode. Anything with spiders pisses me off. The only thing you need to know is that the Gold Ranger shows up to help everyone, and Billy is once again acting shady. Oily to bed, oily to rise. So that sink monster is back from the movie episode and plans on polluting the Earth's water supply. We also get the return of David, which was honestly unexpected. The main point of this episode is to try and plant seeds as to who the Gold Ranger might be. Cat enters in a surfing competition and David apparently is also really into it. Tommy's like, I never knew you were into surfing. Which, may I just say, you just met your brother. I'm sure it's a small list of stuff you do know. David replies with, there's a lot you don't know about me. Wink wink. And then David mysteriously disappears around the same time the Gold Ranger shows up to help the others. They're doing a pretty good job of setting up possible contenders. Rockabye Power Rangers. We finally get to see the Rangers feeling exhaustion from balancing teenage life and Ranger duty. But it really doesn't play into anything. King Mondo gets the idea to send down a monster that puts people to sleep, and the Rangers gotta fight it. Again, the Bulk and Skull detective stuff is more interesting. Seeing them track down a robber and stop them is good stuff. Screw it! Maybe Bulk or Skull is the Gold Ranger. Who, speaking of which, once again saves the day, and Billy mysteriously comes back to the power chamber. And Rocky's had enough. He straight up points out that Billy is always gone when the Gold Ranger shows up, and Rocky asks him if he is. Where Billy doesn't exactly deny it, just saying, you don't think I'd keep a secret like that from you guys, do you? And that's it. Do I know you? A Verox bounty hunter wants to take Pyramidas for himself, so King Mondo teams up with him to also take out the Rangers. He's a pretty powerful enemy. Verox bounty hunters are strong as hell, and this won't be the last time they show up in the series. He manages to weaken the Gold Ranger and teleports him to the command center. After Alpha tries to ask who he is, he reveals that if he tells anyone his identity, he'll lose his powers forever. The Rangers defeat the bounty hunter and return back to the command center, where Billy once again is following behind. And even Zordon has had enough of this now, since the Gold Ranger called Alpha and Zordon by their names, and Zordon says that the only way the Gold Ranger would know their names is if he was someone they already knew. And we would finally get our answers in Revelations of Gold. The Gold Ranger lands on Aquitar for assistance, where he demorphs and... it's this guy. Some random guy we've never met before. That's kind of a letdown. His name is Trey of the planet Triforia. Trey's powers are weakening, and Zordon says that they have the technology to help him. However, King Mondo places a force field over the command center, and when Trey tries to teleport, he goes off course and ends up in the sea, where the Rangers need to jump in and save him from drowning. Now, normally I don't talk about the Bulk and Skull side plots, but this one's pretty important. Goldar and Rito are still confused and under the servitude of Bulk and Skull. However, they hire Bulk and Skull to find their families, which is oddly sad. Eventually, though, they all do receive a letter from Rita and Zed, telling them to leave the Earth and find them. Cutting back to the Rangers, they save Trey from the sea, and he splits off into 3 different people. Because he's a Triforian, and the people can just do that, I guess. And they are, no joke, Trey of Wisdom, Trey of Courage, and Trey of Heart. Okay, there you go. You see, Nintendo can't sue now. His powers have been weakened, and he needs to transfer the Gold Ranger powers to a new host. And the team know just the guy. Yup, Billy. Who else? I mean, Jesus, they've been practically teasing it since the beginning. So Trey begins the ceremony to transfer the powers when the Rangers need to leave to do battle. When they return, though, there's some bad news. Billy isn't able to receive the Gold Ranger powers. Why? Because at the end of Mighty Morphin, he took a blast to the face protecting Alpha. And that, messed with his molecular structure and his ability to accept new powers. Whatever, it's stupid. But they need to find a new Gold Ranger fast before the powers disappear entirely. Luckily, though, Tommy might know the right man for the job. A golden homecoming. Tommy's walking with a mysterious man to the command center. They get attacked by the Cogs, but the stranger can clearly hold his own in a fight, needing to outrun the Cogs and fighter jets shooting at them. Meanwhile, Goldar is having a dream and slowly starts to remember everything, even magically waking up with his sword and wings, where then him and Rito leave to go join Zed and Rita, and for some reason don't kill Bulk and Skull for treating them like garbage. Meanwhile, Tommy makes it back to the command center with the reveal of the new Gold Ranger. Oh man, yeah! Jason is back! I'll save my thoughts on this for after the episode, but initial thoughts? Heck yeah, bro, Jason's back! He's like my favorite Zordon-era Ranger. You know, after Andros and all. And he fits this role like a glove. This man was born to be a Power Ranger.
Back to action!
And of course, he kicks ass, wiping the floor with anyone who stands in his way. And it's kinda nice seeing the tables turned, you know? With Jason being the almighty Ranger and Tommy needing to follow his lead. The Rangers also unlocked the Super Zeozords. They're kinda weird, but yeah, they're also here now. And with them, they destroy the bad guys, just like the good old days. We end the episode with a nice heart-to-heart with Jason and Tommy, with Jason saying that leaving the Power Rangers was the hardest thing he had to do. And while he's glad to be back, he doesn't want Tommy to think he's gonna try and put everything back to the way it was, with him leading the team and all. And of course, Tommy says something about, the Power Rangers are a team and nobody's more important than the other. Cut to Adam doing nothing for the 1,000,000th time. Anyway, yeah, the episode ends on a high. So, the Gold Ranger arc. I really liked it, having all the episodes have this connecting thread of this mysterious Gold Ranger. Watching this show 20 years later, I of course knew that Jason was the Gold Ranger, but they still did a really good job setting up potential Rangers. David was a fun little possibility, but yeah, Billy was the one they were obviously teasing since the beginning. And this is where I'm torn on the Gold Ranger. You see, as I mentioned earlier, I obviously love Jason. He has this commanding presence about him, and it's so nice seeing him return back to the series. But from a story perspective, Billy just makes more sense. Especially since he's been shown multiple times that he misses being a Ranger and fighting alongside his friends. It just felt like kind of a kick in the face, you know? The behind-the-scenes reasons as to why Billy was constantly getting shafted are pretty disgusting, to be honest, but I'll save that for just a little bit later. Jason returning was also an attempt to boost ratings. Zeo wasn't doing so hot, and I guess they thought that bringing back an old Ranger would bring back some lapsed fans. But, oh wait, Saban, I thought the actors and characters didn't matter. It's only the helmets and Zords that people care about. What an absolute idiot, I'll never let that go. Mondo's Last Stand. I really like this episode for multiple reasons. First off, having Jason back and interacting with a mostly new cast of characters he was never on screen with before is really fun. We get to have Rocky and Jason together, 2 former Mighty Morphin Red Rangers. This episode is almost an attempt at acknowledging that. You see, Rocky's starting to feel jealous for some reason that everyone's enamored with Jason. He's starting to feel like Jason's going to replace him. Which is ironic considering Rocky literally replaced Jason's Ranger role. Because of this, Rocky starts to doubt himself as being worthy of being a Ranger. Meanwhile, King Mondo digs up this magical sword that'll make him powerful, the Damocles sword. The Rangers are sent to investigate, and Rocky spots King Mondo by himself. He's about to call in for backup, but he feels like this is his time to prove himself to the team.
It's morphin' time!
So he morphs on out and tries to fight King Mondo one-on-one. It goes about as well as you'd imagine. He returns back to the command center and tells everyone about his poor plan, and Jason, in the funniest way possible, replies with,
Why did you do that?
He sounds so disappointed. The Rangers have a pretty intense battle with King Mondo, even combining all the Zords to create the Super Zeo Megazord, which is surprisingly enough to destroy King Mondo. But Queen Machina tells her son that this has happened before and he'll return. Or will he? Because Zed and Rita catch wind of this and plan to strike while the iron is hot. The episode ends at the juice bar with Rocky apologizing for feeling jealous, and Jason's like, it's all good, I'm glad we're friends. And that's it. The episode really feels like wasted potential. They had half of it right, Rocky being jealous of Jason, feeling insecure because Jason is a really powerful ranger. He's led his team through dark times and prevailed. He's gone into battles by himself, not thinking of the risk, just wanting to protect the Earth and his friends. When he left, Rocky took his place and did nothing. Tommy was the new leader and he was the one going on dangerous missions. I wish we got to see more Rocky and Jason interactions. Have Jason be the one to tell Rocky he's doing a great job and was the best man to replace him. But no, we just get,
Why did you do that?
Bomber in the summer. Ernie's having a party on the beach when these hooligans on dirt bikes come by and ruin everything, saying they're on their turf and they have to leave. Jason notices a girl on the back of the main guy's bike and instantly falls for her. Meanwhile, Rita and Zed created this bomb, but Goldor and Rito misfire it, having it land on the Machine Empire's doorstep. The bomb turns into a monster named Louis Kaboom, and believe it or not, he actually becomes the main villain for a while. He's kind of annoying and honestly forgettable, talking in this weird Brooklyn accent.
Sorry, Metal Mama, I'm running things now.
Jason runs into the girl again, who we find out is named Emily. She's pretty mean, but Jason looks at her and genuinely thinks, I can fix her. Turns out she's new in town and is having trouble making friends, so Jason naturally tries to sweet talk his way into convincing her to be good. Before she really makes up her mind though, Louis Kaboom and a monster attack, where Jason tells her to run and he morphs on out.
It's morphin' time!
Fighting the monster 2-on-1 because he's Jason, the most powerful ranger. They defeat the monster and Emily becomes good, blossoming a potential romance between her and Jason. Scent of a Weasel. This episode is pretty dumb. Queen Machina comes up with her first evil plan against the Rangers. To make them smelly.
That's the stupidest idea ever!
Yeah, exactly. Her husband is literally dead, blown up by the Power Rangers, and her first active plan of revenge is to make them smell bad? Whatever. The Rangers become stinky and have to become unstinky to defeat the monster, I guess. The Bulk and Skull stuff is more interesting. They get hired to do security for a fashion show, where Skull kinda falls for a model. He messes things up as usual, but they end up having a nice heart-to-heart, where Skull's incompetence is shown off in a more likable and charming way.
Well, at least I can't smell it anymore. Guess you get used to it after a while.
Let's hope.
The Lore of Auric. We see this couple on this Indiana Jones-esque adventure to retrieve this artifact, known as Auric. However, Louis Kaboom stops them and steals it for himself, trapping the two in the cave. Meanwhile, Tanya receives a letter from Aisha, saying that her parents are in danger. Which, yeah, the two from earlier are Tanya's parents. The letter also came with a key. The key is necessary for activating Auric. Tanya wants to go save her parents by herself, and Jason offers to guard the key until she comes back. However, while alone, he gets ambushed by Louis. And while he puts up a good fight, he's ultimately outnumbered and loses the key. The villains activate Auric, who turns out to be another Zord. However, he's fully autonomous, meaning he can move and even talk on his own. But since he is a good guy, the Rangers are able to convince him that they're on the side of good and to join them. He does. Meanwhile, Tanya goes on this Indiana Jones adventure to find her parents. They have a nice embrace and that's it. We'll never see or hear from them again. I appreciate the episode at least having a focus on Tanya. Her parents were missing for years, which is why I guess she was in that village as a child. And it's frankly the first real episode of Tanya that's about her backstory or who she even is. The Ranger who came in from the gold. It's kind of a convoluted title. Louis Kaboom creates a monster that turns everything into gold. He turns Jason into a golden statue, and the Rangers defeat it, turning everything back to normal. The end. The best part of the episode is that Adam gets to say it's morphin' time.
It's morphin' time!
Little victories. So this episode's called The Joke's on Blue, which you might think would be a Rocky-focused episode, but it's not. There's a mysterious prankster at Angel Grove that's playing jokes on everyone. Bulk and Skull take up the task to find out who it is, and that's the whole human plot. The Ranger stuff is what's important. It turns out King Mondo had another son, Prince Gasket. He fell in love with an opposing kingdom's daughter, Archerina. Because of this, King Mondo exiled his son and created Prince Sprocket as a replacement. It's a really interesting backstory, honestly, giving these new villains real motivation against not only the Rangers, but the Machine Empire. Archerina even manages to place a spell on Louis Kaboom that makes him fall in love with her, manipulating him to just take on the Rangers head on. So Louis Kaboom does battle with the Rangers. It doesn't go so well for him. He was never any kind of leader or a threat of any kind. So he's destroyed, and we luckily never have to hear from him again. Where in the world is Zeo Ranger 5? Tommy, Cat, and Jason are hanging out at the lake. While Tommy's riding a jet ski, he mysteriously disappears. And what's worse is that Zordon and Alpha can't locate him. But in the meantime, Jason has to lead the team. And not surprisingly, I really like it. I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record, but Jason leading the Power Rangers just feels natural. He gives commands really well and feels like a leader. However, Power Rangers being Power Rangers, they're naturally weaker without Tommy and are having a harder time defeating the bad guy. They do barely manage to destroy the monster though, where we cut to Tommy in a pretty creepy void with this machine on his head, altering his mind. Zordon manages to find Tommy, but says that the Tommy they all know is slowly starting to fade. King for a Day Part 1. Prince Gasket and Archerina's plan is going well. They're currently trying to wipe Tommy's mind so he forgets that he's a good guy, even managing to convince him that he's the king of the Machine Empire, and the Power Rangers are an evil group trying to stop him. Where, for the 30 millionth time, we are dealing with an evil Tommy. Which honestly, I like. I think it's funny Tommy's always becoming evil in one way or another. This time though, through amnesia and gaslighting. However, reaching this dimension where Tommy is at is proving difficult. They need to enter through a random dimensional rift or something. One of which Bulk and Skull accidentally fall into and end up on the planet. The Rangers manage to find another one and Jason volunteers to save Tommy. It's a nice continuation of Jason's story, where he still feels guilty for not saving the green candle and preserving Tommy's original powers. I also like the planet they're on too. Sure, it's got the Breaking Bad New Mexico filter, but still, it's a coliseum and feels like a desolate, violent place where the Rangers are very much not welcome. Jason tries to convince Tommy that they're on his side and he's being manipulated, but the brainwashing is too strong, having Jason go through a gauntlet of fights on his own. Part 2 is where our heroes really get to shine. And by heroes, I'm of course talking about Bulk and Skull, where they meet this half-human, half-reptilian creature. He's the greatest warrior on his planet, and Bulk and Skull say that they are as well. Reptile over here is happy to hear this and informs Bulk and Skull that they're gonna help with their plans to escape. Meanwhile, this whole Coliseum thing is being televised, where Zed and Rita are so excited that the Rangers are finally gonna be destroyed. But Zed's excitement quickly fades, when he realizes that if the Machine Empire are the ones to destroy the Rangers, they'll rule the galaxy, and Zed and Rita will still be stranded on the moon, with their evil trailer that I think I forgot to mention. Yeah, this trailer is their new base. So, with no other options, Zed hesitantly tells Rita what they have to do.
This hurts. Yes, we have to help the Power Rangers. Oh.
The planet is covered in some kind of anti-teleportation device that makes it impossible for the Rangers to find it, and when the Power Rangers try teleporting to the planet, they're ultimately lost in the void. This is where Zed and Rita come in. They decide to use their powers to help the Rangers make it to Jason and Tommy, so they can all team up and be together to stop the Machine Empire. Meanwhile, Reptile, Bulk, and Skull manage to find the control room. Reptile decides to take care of the machine, but they get ambushed by the Cogs. He tells Bulk and Skull to take care of them since, well, they did say they were Earth's greatest warriors. What ensues is our first ever Bulk and Skull fight scene. You know, kinda. They use slapstick antics to get rid of the cogs, which, to be fair, is exactly what Billy did in Season 1 of Mighty Morphin, never really using martial arts, but more so utilizing combative forms of defense. They play the Bulk and Skull theme song throughout, but I think it would have been way funnier if they used one of the serious fight songs, you know? Anyway, they defeat the cogs and destroy the barrier around the planet. The Rangers show up and demorph, using the power of friendship to restore Tommy's memory. And thanks to Bulk and Skull, they're able to just teleport away from the planet. Reptile also teleports Bulk and Skull back to Earth, but not before saying his planet will make legends of them. The episode ends with the two saying how they saved the Power Rangers. Nobody believes them, but the Rangers themselves do try to say thank you and that they believe them.
Oh, cut the sarcasm, will ya? That's it, Skull, we don't have to take this. We're out of here!
The King for a Day two-parter is tons of fun. Hilariously enough, it's just another retread of Mighty Morphin, with Tommy being an evil ranger and Jason leading the team to save him. Prince Gasket is also a much better villain than King Mondo. His first real day on the job and he manages to almost destroy the Power Rangers. A Brief Mystery of Time. It's a Groundhog's Day filler episode. Tommy keeps living the same day over and over until he needs to destroy the source. I usually like these types of episodes and shows, but they take way too long to establish what's going on. It's like over half the episode until they take action. A mystery to me. The Rangers plus Bulk and Skull take place in a whodunit mystery murder thing. Again, it's filler. Kat gets abducted by Archerina and they fight. Auric also is here to help. I forgot he existed. Another song and dance. Tommy has to sing a song for his music class and asks Tanya for help. Queen Machina gets another brilliant idea to put a spell on Tommy and Tanya, making it so they can only speak in song.
With our might, we must now fight!
It's totally not annoying and totally doesn't go on for way too long and is not stupid.
Let's stop this crime!
It's morphine time!
Okay, that's kind of funny. Okay. We finally reached the episodes I've been kinda dreading. Rangers of Two Worlds, Part 1 and 2. There's an emergency in the power chamber. When the Rangers arrive, they see that Billy has aged rapidly. The aging is due to events that happened in Mighty Morphin. When all the Rangers were turned to kids, Billy used a device on himself to turn him back into a teenager. However, it's only now starting to have negative effects, such as the constant aging. The Rangers of Aquitar come to help, saying they'll need to go to what's essentially their fountain of youth to get some of its water. Jason offers to go while the rest of the Rangers have a battle with this thing. Very scary. It's actually a monster created by Rita, after Finster gave her a new staff, now having Zed and Rita be active in destroying the Rangers before the Machine Empire does. Jason returns with the water, but the device backfires and doesn't work. And what's worse is that Billy continues to age, and at this rate, he won't be long for this world. With no other options, the Rangers teleport Billy to Aquitar in hopes that their technology can aid him. The doctor is an Aquitian woman named Sestria, who's a big fan of Billy, since earlier in the season, he's the one who went to Aquitar to help save it. And hey, with the alien Rangers already on Earth, they decide to team up with the Zeo Rangers to fight this monster, making this technically the first ever team-up episode in Power Rangers. It's not really given any weight or grandeur, considering it happens over halfway through the episode. Still, seeing a team-up is always tons of fun. The morphs, the lineup, and the fights. This is all Sentai footage too, since Kaku Ranger and O Ranger actually did have a team-up movie, where they defeat the monster and save the day. The Rangers head back to the power chamber and receive a message from Billy, saying they managed to cure him, but he's not coming home. It seems he's fallen in love with Sestria and is staying on Aquitar. The Rangers say goodbye, and it's happily ever after for Billy, right? A sweet but sad send-off. Well, unfortunately, that's not the case. This is where things get a little sad. You'll notice that the older Billys were played by different actors. That's fine and all, but when Billy shows up at the end of the episode, he sounds nothing like Billy.
Guys, I've made a really important decision. I'll miss you all, but I'm going to stay here on Aquitar with Sestria.
Why is this? At the time, most people speculated it must have been a money issue, similar to with Austin St. John, Tui Trang, and Walter Jones. But we wouldn't know the truth until 2010, where David Yost did an interview with No Pink Spandex. In this interview, one of the questions they asked was, "Why did you leave the show?" And here's his response.
It's a good question. It's actually a really serious question for me. So if I cry, I apologize in advance. All that me getting old and going off to some foreign planet or something, I don't know. I wasn't there for any of that. I don't know anything about it. I've never watched the episodes, but I walked off set one day during the middle of lunch, during halfway through the day, and the reason that I walked off is because I was called faggot one too many times.
David Yost is gay, and he was consistently harassed and had slurs thrown at him by a lot of people, which is obviously disgusting. The 90s were a different time. Stuff like that would obviously never fly nowadays, but back then it wasn't seen as a big deal. He says that members of the cast would constantly be pulled in for meetings to talk about David's sexuality, which obviously made him uncomfortable. This also explains why Billy lost his Ranger status and didn't get to be the Gold Ranger.
I had just heard that several times while working on the show. From creators, producers, writers, directors. Basically, I just felt like I was continually being told I'm not worthy of where I am because I'm quote-unquote a gay person and I'm not supposed to be an actor and you can't be a superhero. That's sort of the vibe that I was getting.
David Yost and Power Rangers had a non-existent relationship for years, understandably so. In 2013, for Power Rangers Super Megaforce, the big anniversary season that was stinky garbage, they were inviting veteran Rangers back to the show. David would receive an invite and blast it online, saying that the invitation started with "Dear Power Ranger" and was full of grammatical errors, following it with the hashtag "Done with abusive relationships." However, to end the story on a happy note, things seem to have changed, with Yost returning to the series in 2023 for the Netflix Once and Always movie and the 30th season of the TV show Power Rangers Cosmic Fury. Both, might I add, have him not only as a superhero, but as the leader and mentor. The series being owned by Hasbro and not Saban and a whole new team, I'm sure helped. I'm glad that in 2023, David Yost's relationship with Power Rangers has been mended. The interview alone got almost a total of 1 million views. So many people really connected with it and felt for David. I remember watching the interview back in the day and feeling so sad that this happened. So to see where everything is at nowadays is really heartwarming. Heading back to Zeo though, we've reached the final 2 episodes. Hawaii Zeo is kinda fillery. What's important to note is that the Gold Ranger powers are starting to weaken, similar to how the Green Ranger was with Tommy. But Jason says he's fine and that's about all we get for the Gold Ranger stuff. We mainly follow Tommy, who now just has the biggest crush on Kat. Ernie's throwing this Hawaiian party and Tommy wants to ask her out, but for some reason he's all nervous and shy now. I don't get it. He was never that way with Kimberly. And Tommy and Kat are friends. You've spoken to her hundreds of times. This is so forced. Everyone's all like, come on man, ask her out, talk to her. It's just awkward dating stuff until Prince Gasket and Archerina show up. The Rangers fight and defeat them, but they're not destroyed. Where we then get the return of King Mondo just out of nowhere. I guess he's repaired now, and Prince Gasket and Archerina retreat into space, where we will never ever see them again. Let's just move on to the finale. Good as gold. Jason's being hunted down by Cogs and can't use his communicator. He gets ambushed by both the Machine Empire as well as Zed and Rita's forces. The 2 evil factions bicker amongst each other on who gets to steal the Gold Ranger powers. Jason manages to sneak away though after the 2 evil forces fight. And it's pretty brutal, honestly. The Tengas get their feathers ripped out and the Cogs get ripped apart like in a zombie movie. Jesus! Meanwhile, Bulk and Skull get an offer to do detective work in France? What? And they consider it since Detective Stone mostly has the 2 doing housework. Jason barely makes it to the juice bar before passing out. Everyone's of course worried for him, but the Rangers take it from there and teleport to the command center. After running a diagnostic on Jason, it turns out that the Gold Ranger powers are draining Jason's mortal life. Meaning the longer he has the powers, the faster he'll die. They contact Trey and he informs the Rangers they need to perform a ritual to get his 3 forms back into 1. Only then can Trey become the Gold Ranger once again. Before they can perform the ritual, they get ambushed, with the Rangers holding off the Machine Empire. Jason and Trey successfully do the ceremony, transferring the powers back to its original owner. King Mondo is pissed, and along with the Cogs, they grow giant. Tommy's about to summon the Zords, but Trey has a better idea. and he grows all the Rangers to giant size. Could you just always do that? It's a really fun fight, and I think it's the only time the Rangers grow big. And with a punch from Trey and a kick from Tommy, the Machine Empire's king and its kingdom come crashing down. We then wrap things up, with Bulk and Skull quitting the detective agency to move to France. Detective Stone seems angry at first, but shows that he's sad the two are leaving. Tommy then goes to comfort Jason about losing his powers, similar to how Jason would always do the same to him. They say that even though they're not teammates anymore, they'll always be friends. And hey, Jason still gets the girl. Emily, from earlier. Zed and Rita then give a peace offering to the Machine Empire, handing a present to Prince Sprocket, and drive away in the trailer, where it turns out the present was an actual bomb and blows them up, with Zed proclaiming, "We're back!" Jesus, the fact that they gave the bomb to the kid kinda shows how evil they really are. And Tommy and Kat hold hands and walk away, ending Power Rangers Zeo. Definitely a lot less of an epic finale. The fact that the Gold Ranger story took precedent over the Evil Empire stuff really shows they didn't have much of a plan with the Machine Empire. At the time also, I'm pretty sure they were working on the Turbo movie, so there wasn't the need to end the show on a cliffhanger. We will see this team again in what they have in store. Power Rangers Zeo was okay. Actually, a lot better than I expected. When I was younger, I never watched Zeo or Turbo. It was Mighty Morphin or In Space for me personally. And when I got older, I ended up binging the entire franchise, but did skip a few seasons I still had no interest in seeing, which Zeo was a part of. I think the season only being 50 episodes as opposed to 150 definitely helps and feels more condensed. The first half of the season was what I was dreading, a lot of one-off episodes that relied on the Mighty Morphin formula. But once the Gold Ranger story kicked in halfway through, it had some pretty strong narrative structure until the end. Sure, there was the occasional filler episode, but I feel like the good definitely outweighed the bad. Once again though, Tommy was kind of the main focus, along with Kat since they wanted to force that relationship. Jason was way more involved than I thought he was gonna be. I thought he would just show up to occasionally summon the Zord and maybe have a conversation or two, but on many occasions he slipped back into that leader role perfectly. Rocky was also more interesting, the fact he actually had a character now, being the goofy and lovable idiot. Adam and Tanya were there. Tanya had a few episodes and only one that kind of started to give her a character, while Adam didn't have any of that. Yeah, okay, there was the one episode he talks to Skull, but I consider that more of a Skull episode than an Adam one. Adam seems to be the most badass when he's doing a guest appearance and not a full-time character. Billy was honestly the true leader. He was the one constantly coming up with plans, creating weapons, and telling the Rangers what to do. The Rangers themselves were more just soldiers. The Machine Empire were also pretty good villains. They were never as threatening as Zed, but I like the family aspect of it. Prince Sprocket was way less annoying than I thought he would be, actively coming up with plans to stop the Rangers. Prince Gasket and Archerina were also really nice, having a rivalry with both the Rangers and his own family. It's poetic, don't you think? The robots who are programmed perfectly, but still manage to be dysfunctional. Bulk and Skull also had a lot of development. Seeing them be a little more buddy-buddy with the Rangers is always a nice change of pace, and actively doing good deeds as well. They also had their first real action scene on the show. This, of course, though, wouldn't be the last time they do that. So, while Power Rangers Zeo wasn't ever truly bad, I'd say, the next season we're gonna check out, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to say the same. So yep, you guys asked for it. I'll definitely be going through the rest of the Zordon era story of Power Rangers. Let me know your thoughts on Zeo. Did you like it? Hate it? Indifferent? Let me know and I'll see you guys next time, when we shift into Turbo.